Hey y'all. Happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. So honored to be here with you guys. Let me know where you're coming in from, what platform you're on, and what questions you want answered today as we go into our fourth weekly conversation about sales. These have been some of my favorite YouTube lives I've ever done. I'm really having a good time with it. I hope you guys are learning a lot. Today, the theme of this conversation is how to set yourself up for success in the sales calls that you're having. So I'm going to give you some tools for things that you can do proactively on a daily basis, as well as things that you can do immediately before the sales call to make sure that you are showing up in the most powerful, luscious, loving, joyful state. You guys down? You interested? This should be really helpful. And before I dive in, I just want to shout out one of my brand new clients who, I'm not going to tell you his name yet, but we'll see. He may shout himself out, and we'll be sharing more of his story as things goes on. But we started working together in March at the Money Mindset and Meditation event that I actually had planned to do live and then switch to virtual. We will be doing another one of these events virtual, May 15th and 16th. But so we've been working together for about a month. And when we met, this person had made about $20,000 in a year. And in the last month, he has made $20,000. So he has just literally almost instantaneously taken what I taught him, done what I told him to do, what I taught him how to do, and which is what I'm teaching in these videos, by the way, in these lives. And he turned his annual income, on average, his annual income, the most he'd made in a year, into his monthly income. True story. I'm so proud of him. I'm so excited for him. And he's just getting started, right? He's going to make $20,000 a month every month now because he knows how to do it now. And probably that'll just be the beginning of the story. He's going to make more. So I'm sharing that story for a couple of reasons. I think it's really important to tell these stories, right? It's important to recognize that we're not alone. I used to be a high school math teacher. I was not making the kind of money then that I make now. This client of mine and all of my clients started in a place that's very similar to you, wherever you are. And then they did some very challenging, uncomfortable things, specifically in the realm of sales. Not one of my success stories doesn't include sales, whether it's mine or my clients. Sales is an integral part. That's why I focus on it. And when you give your attention, and not just your attention, but your love to your sales process, you will help more people, you will make more money, and you will start to experience the true mastery that is you. At no point during your sales process is it necessary that you compromise who you are. In fact, the more that you show up as the truth of who you are, the better things will go, the better your results will be, the more fun you'll have. That's not what's required. It is required that you believe in yourself. It is required that you believe in the person that you're talking to. It is required that you be willing to be uncomfortable in being seen. It's not hard to be seen. It's actually hard to hide. But you have to be willing to be seen in order to do this. So shout out to all of you guys on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. If you are here, tell me where you are. Like, let us see you now. You're in good company. So there's a couple pieces of this setting yourself up for success. One piece is getting yourself into the right mindset for connecting with another person. And in order to do that, you want to get your stuff, the stuff that like you focus on and you think about, and including your vision, all the good stuff as well as all the stuff that makes you uncomfortable. You kind of want to put that to the side. It's not the focus of the sales conversation. So you might need to meditate both in the morning as a daily practice, but also right before you get on the sales call, to get yourself clean and clear so that you're really prepared to show up in service to the person that you're talking to. Undistracted by whatever other stuff is going on, undistracted by COVID-19, undistracted by the fact that you brushed up against somebody by accident at the grocery store, undistracted by your insecurity about money, any of that. All that stuff needs to be tabled, and meditation is a very powerful practice. Again, proactively and immediately before any sales conversation. You can do it in 30 seconds. In fact, let's just try it right now. Like, close your eyes for a moment and just feel yourself come into your own body. Come into your knowing. Rest in the truth of who you are. Let it be simple. Feel the ease that's here. And then come back. Like just a little refresh, just a little touch in. Doesn't take much, and a little goes a long way. Prioritize how you enter into the sales conversation. This is also true, by the way, when you're like writing social media posts or sending out an email for marketing. The way that you feel when you're doing these activities matters. So I recommend meditation as part of your preparation ritual. You might do all kinds of things. I have some clients who like do a whole sage crystal altar ritual before they go into a sales conversation. For me, I have anyone that I might have a sales conversation with apply to talk to me. And so then before I meet with them, I read their questionnaire. I really like to read their questionnaire at least 24 hours before we meet, and then again right before. So that's another preparation tool. And that leads me to my second recommendation, which is to see this potential person before you've even met them. See them in their mastery. See them in their clarity. See them in their greatness. So you are setting the stage. It's almost like you're inviting this person in from that place, again, just on an energetic level before you even meet them. So even in your meditation, you might see them or feel them and call to them. See them in their greatness. See them in their fullness. They're not coming to you broken. They're not coming to you fragile. They're coming to you full, whole, and complete. And you're going to see how you can serve them from there. How can you help them grow into the next level of their greatness? Any questions so far? This making sense? I see you, Kate. I see you, Vanessa. Beautiful. Brooklyn, Minnesota, and Oakland, all in the house. I love it. I love it. I love it. You can practice this now, right? Like you can practice showing up at the level of how you want to feel all the time now. How loving do you want to feel? Feel it now. How loved do you want to feel? Feel that now. All kinds of stuff comes up when we get into relationship of any kind. And so for sure in a coaching conversation, in a sales conversation. So you want to stack the deck in your favor by really proactively setting up as much of what you can. You can't control a lot of things, okay, let's be honest. But the things that you can control, your physical environment, your emotional state, your mental environment, you have a lot of agency there. I see y'all on Facebook. I see y'all on Instagram. Any questions, just put them in the chat. Yeah. So you want to show up powerful. Find your power now. You want to show up confident. Find your confidence now. Practice living in these states, and it'll be much easier to live in these states when you are in the sales conversation. Hi, Diana. How are you well? So this is part one, which is really about focusing on the positive, leveraging the positive, just being more intentional and thoughtful and conscious about the positive. The other thing that you can do is kind of going the opposite direction. And this, I don't recommend that you do this directly before a sales call, but I do recommend that you go into it, for example, now, which is to let yourself go into whatever else is there for you. Whatever fears or doubts or worries arise when you think about going into sales, write it down. Like, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? Somebody could say no, somebody could be upset that you called them, right? Like, write down all the things. Like, there's an energy in all of us that just kind of like creates this low-grade anxiety that then builds into high-grade anxiety that's based on stories, but we don't necessarily always know what the stories are. So the purpose of this kind of exercise is to let the stories get played out. Look at them. See the truth of them. So you make a list. What are all the things? What's the worst case scenario that could happen in a sales conversation? Just give me some ideas here. First thing that people are saying is they say no. I mean, I got to tell you, like, getting no's in sales conversations is a win. That's a great thing. So if that's your worst case scenario, you're in good shape. What underneath that probably is that you feel bad or that you get discouraged. It's not that they say no. You want people to say no. Your work is not right for everybody. Your products and services are not for everyone. So the no in and of itself is not actually the issue. Erica, you're saying something on Instagram about cold calls, but I missed something. Can you say that again? Like, what's the worst case scenario on cold calls? So in general, I think that the worst case scenario has to do with how you react to someone else. Right? That you get triggered, or that you feel upset, or that you feel rejected, or that you feel, right, that you feel something. Ronnie just shared another one. I haven't heard from you in a while. Now you want to sell me something. So in and of itself, like, what's so bad about that? And so these are the kinds of questions you can ask yourself, like, follow the thread. So if that's true for you, that you're afraid that they're going to say to you, I haven't heard from you in a while, and now you want to sell me something. What's so bad about that? Probably it's how you feel about the fact that you think that they feel some type of way about you. What is that feeling? What do you think they feel about you? What's the worst? Again, you're just using your imagination here to actually connect to the truth of what your imagination is doing when you're not aware of it. Like, what's going on there? What are you actually afraid is going to happen? Part of the reason that doing sales calls in my life and in my client's life is a spiritual practice is because it brings this stuff up and then we work through it and get free. So Erica, great, thank you for following up. Getting the upset of, who are you? Why are you bothering me? If you really look at this, again, it's not really a bad thing. The worst case scenario of someone saying that to you feels bad because of how you react to it. So what if somebody's upset with you? And I think even that's extrapolation. Like, they may not be upset. They may just be asking the question, I haven't heard from you in a while. Are you trying to sell me something? That would actually be here's the next step of this process is to decide in advance how you want to respond to that when it happens. So if I called someone on a cold call, and in fact, this has happened, not often, but this has happened, that I've called someone in a cold call and they have said to me, are you trying to sell me something? How do I want to feel when I hear that? How do I want to respond when I hear that? And I like this. We'll go there next. So if somebody says to me, are you trying to sell me something? I'll be real present. Like, because it depends. I might be. And if so, I'll own it. Yeah, I am. How does that feel to you? Yeah, I am trying to sell you something. Do you want to buy it? Right? There's a real power in joining and then like getting playful from there. It's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with me trying to sell something. That's the piece. It's like your job all the time, not just in sales conversations, but sales is part of where you can work on this, where it shows up, is to feel fantastic about who you are. Not because your eyes are closed and you're pretending, but because you actually are shining. You're doing your best. You are constantly on your growth edge and you're loving as best you can, and you know that. And then when someone comes at you and they're like, you're not being loving, or I don't feel loved by you, then you can just be with that. Oh, well, I mean, that's not my intention, but I'm doing my best. Like, I'm loving as hard as I've ever loved before. Can you feel it now? How about now? This part of the conversation that I'm having sort of in this imaginary dialogue is under the surface, mostly. You don't have to actually talk about love, particularly if you're cold calling a stranger, particularly if they're an executive or this is a very professional context. You might not talk about that, but you want to get into that underneath. What are those layers? What's really happening? For most of you, what happens is that someone says something and you get triggered because you feel like they have the power to tell you that you're wrong. They have the power to shame you. They have the power to make you bad. They don't have that power. And when you show up in the freedom of knowing that, they won't even go there. So let me just see, because I think that there might have been another response. So if somebody said to me, are you trying to sell me something? And I wasn't. Because often in a cold call, I'm not sure if I'm going to sell them something or not. I'm very selective, actually, about who I offer a program to. So I might also say, I don't know. I'm just interested in knowing more about you and what you're working on. Are you open to sharing with me? What's the biggest challenge that you're facing in your life or your business right now? COVID-19 is taking a lot of people out. I'd love to see if there's a way I can help you, for sure. What's going on, right? And that has to be sincere. One of my other clients asked me this week, like, how do I make sure that I'm not manipulating someone in a cold call? And I love that question because there's a lot of personal responsibility there. She wasn't asking, how do I make sure they don't think I'm manipulating? She was asking, how do I make sure I actually don't manipulate them? And the simple answer is, it's a little like silly, but the simple answer is don't. Just don't do it. You know, if you don't want to be manipulative, and why would you want to be manipulative? On a conscious level, don't. Make sure that you don't. And so that's the other worst case scenario. I think one of the worst case scenarios in a sales call is that I go unconscious and start to manipulate someone. That has nothing to do with how they feel about me. They feel great about me. They might buy. But if I've gone unconscious and started to manipulate them into liking me or feeling good things about me so that they buy, when that's not actually what's right for them or what's best for them, that's a worst case scenario for me. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I think that's really powerful, that my worst case scenario is me showing up out of excellence. It's got nothing to do with what they say to me. My job in a coaching conversation, in a sales conversation, in every aspect of my life is to be my best, most conscious self. So worst case scenario isn't just me losing that. And frankly, like, welcome to human existence. I'm gonna lose that. There's gonna be times where I fall out of that consciousness. So that's not a bad thing. That's just not the goal. That's not the destination. So let's go deeper into, I'll come back to this is all one topic, but there's lots of little sort of data points that we're exploring here. So this is really good. Ed said they'll tell all your friends negative things about you. Let's talk about this. What happens if you sell someone, they don't like it, either because they don't buy and they don't like that you offered, or they do buy and they don't like what happens when they buy, and they tell all their friends negative things about you? Then what? What's so bad about that? And by the way, when I ask, this is a question to like put into your toolkit, what's so bad about blank? That's not a question of credibility. I'm not saying like, what's so bad about that? Like, that's not so bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm asking you to get more precise. When you find something that feels bad to you, ask yourself, why does that feel bad? Like, what's so bad about someone saying something negative about me? What's so bad about someone saying something negative about me to a lot of people? If I'm honest, people have been saying bad things about me since I was 6. Like, since I had friends, they had negative things to say about me. People don't always feel positively about any one person. Side note, probably, unless they're pretty manipulative. Like, that's the sign of manipulation, is if you always feel one thing. Like, my closest relationships, we have all the feelings. When you're married to someone, you feel all the feelings. Just shutting down a little window so I can stream more consistently. All right. So when you go deeper with it, like, what's so bad about someone saying something negative about you? It's likely that you just don't like looking at the truth that anyone feels negatively about you ever. And that's normal. There's a part of you that's just like, no, I don't want that. I don't want anyone to feel badly about me ever. So give a thumbs up or a heart or an emoji of some kind on whatever platform you're watching if you resonate with that, so that you can give some love to that part of you. It's like, oh yeah, honey, I totally get that. Like, talk to your inner 6-year-old who got bullied at school, who got rejected, who didn't get invited to the party, who, whatever, like the girls ganged up and excluded, right? This is so human. It's so human. So of course you don't want that. Of course you don't like that. And also, like, as an adult, don't you know that it's fine? You're going to be fine. People get to have whatever feelings about you they want. I just remembered I had these sheets. I like got them at a yard sale, or maybe I don't know, we found them in my stepfather's house. I can't quite remember where they came from, but they were these Peanuts sheets, right? With all the characters from Peanuts, Charlie Brown and Lucy, and silly memory, but this is important because I think is it Pigpen who's got the dust all around him all the time and the blanket? I might be mixing characters up. But anyway, one of the characters says, to know me is to love me. And I was probably 13, 14 when I got these sheets. So I was at that turning point in adolescence. And when I read that, I mean, it was like a cliche joke on the sheet, but I really took it to heart. And I have held that belief ever since. Like, when people truly know you, they won't be able to help loving you. That doesn't mean that they'll always think positive thoughts about you. Sometimes they'll think negative thoughts about you, because that's human. None of us are perfect. We all do things that sometimes have negative consequences for other people, and sometimes we just feel negatively, whether somebody did something or not. So, but if you really drill down, you know this, that when you truly know someone, you just love them. You may not even want to be friends with them, but you can feel love for them. And especially you guys, you spiritual folks, like, this is your practice. Loving kindness is the practice of unconditional loving anyone and anything, no matter what. That's because you're knowing yourself at the soul level and you're knowing them at the soul level. Similarly, when anyone knows the truth of who you are, they won't be able to help loving you. And I'm not saying that to stroke your egos. That's not the intention here. It's to let that be another one of those things that you just don't bring into the sales call. In a sales conversation, in a coaching relationship, in a professional relationship, the goal is not for you to be liked. The goal is not that they say positive things about you to stroke your ego. The goal is that they get what they want, that they get the change, that they get the result, that they get the transformation. And they might need to have all kinds of feelings about you in order to get there. Free them. Free them to have those feelings. Yes. So bringing in this play and fun and like the yes to whatever it is that they say is really, really powerful. And again, it's got to be authentic. You can't fake this stuff. You have got to be as authentic, as vulnerable, as real as you can be. That's what's going to make this the most fun, the most powerful, the most free for you and for them. So, and I mean, Ronnie's sharing, it's also true that not all relationships are meant to last. And as you grow and step into a higher level of your service, not everyone's going to want to come with you. That's okay. I've told this story many times, and I'll tell it again. I did this 100 cold call assignment in maybe the first year of my business. David Nagel gave me this task. And so I called a lot of people, and my biggest fear absolutely was that people would say exactly what you guys are saying, like that they wouldn't like it, that they would say, are you trying to sell me something, whatever. 99 people didn't say that. 99 people were just like happy to hear from me. And some of them bought, most of them didn't. But it was a huge deal for me to experience that, like, this fear that I had was actually not really so likely. But it did happen with one person, and that one person was incredibly angry, I would say. Angry, resistant, judgmental, critical, like what kind of, no, like really harsh with me. And we didn't talk on that. I think that was like a 12-minute conversation. I got clear through that conversation that this person probably was not open to any conversation with me about my work, referral or otherwise. And when I got off the phone, I was like, okay, like that was my worst case scenario, and I did it, and I didn't die. And so for the longest time, that was my big win, was just that I'd done it and I hadn't died. It was like I was able to retrain my subconscious to not be so frightened of other people rejecting me, of other people judging me. But then the irony is that 3 years later, that same person reached out to me and hired me and did a 6-month sales training program with me, actually. Also got his income to $20,000 a month, and then reached out to me again like 6 months or a year later and told me I was that guy. I know that story that you tell, and I know I was that guy. And I was just scared and unable to receive love. And I've changed, and I'm so grateful. So grateful for you in my life. So then there was this new turning point that this same person who had been so, like, kind of my worst case scenario, not only became a client, but learned from that experience. It was a success for him to have the opportunity to be critical and judgmental of me, and then years later see what he had done and how there was more for him to receive. I mean, it was really potent for both of us in many ways. So, you know, and it's not over. Who knows? Who knows what will happen for us in the future? So it's very important that you give people space. You don't know what's necessary for them in their growth. Maybe they need to have the experience of saying, no, I don't want to talk to you. How dare you call me? Maybe that's important for them, actually. Maybe they've never said no before. Maybe they've never hung up on anyone before. This is not a bad thing. This is uncomfortable. This is also not hard, by the way. It's not hard to have someone hang up on you. It's like you're physically sitting there, you're on the phone, they hang up. Oh, the call's over, okay. But it's so tender for these little 6-year-old, 3-year-old, 17-year-old parts of us that are like, you know, never got the love that they wanted and feel really, really fragile. So the opportunity is that you are loving yourself in those places. And when you love yourself in those places, then let me tell you guys, you have so much more love to offer the world. Say yes to your sales conversations and all the discomfort it brings up for you, because it will catalyze your greater capacity to love yourself and others. So Ronnie, just to close this, like, maybe the relationship is ruined, maybe not. You just keep sending them love. It's none of your business what's going on for them. It's none of your business what other people think about you. Any of you guys heard that before? I heard that all the time growing up, but I didn't really believe it. So just looking at any other... Yes, yeah. Oh, I love this. This came up. So Ronnie just followed up. So the worst case scenario on a call is that you die. I actually love this. I know that you're responding to something that I said, but it's taking me deeper to have you reflect this back. So I want to celebrate that. I think that that's actually the truth. If you take any of the things that you're afraid of happening and you drill down, the thing underneath is that it feels like you'll die. Isn't that sweet? Like, it's so obviously not true. It's so obviously not true. It's not possible that you're going to die from a phone conversation or a Zoom conversation or a coffee date. But it can feel like it. So no wonder you fight it. No wonder you act like a fucking crazy person saying you're going to do one thing and not doing it around sales, because it feels like death is on its way. And so the truth of the freedom that we're talking about is that when you look at that, when you face death in advance or in the moment, that emotional death, that sort of ego death, and claim that moment for yourself, the whole game changes. So I encourage you guys to take time to go deeper with this, to articulate for yourself what are your worst case scenarios. And a good question to bring into that is also, where will you stop? Like, what could happen? What could someone say to you in a sales conversation that would make you want to run and hide? Those are your worst case scenarios. And then like drill down, figure out what's really underneath that, what's actually happening on the inside that makes you want to avoid that. Probably something like fear of death or deep rejection or abandonment or something like that. And then decide in advance how you're going to handle it. This is called pre-planning. So you're not forcing yourself to make the decision about how you'll handle it in the moment when you're triggered and activated and all this negative energy is coming either from you or at you. You've decided in advance. So if someone says to me, I don't like that you called me, I don't want to be sold to, how do you want to respond? How do you want to feel? How do you want to speak? And then you can't like prepare for every single scenario, but if you do this work, you will energetically set yourself up for success. Because then if and when, probably when, something like this happens, it's not going to take you out. And that's the goal, right? Take you out, meaning take you out of action, or take you out of self-love, or take you out of loving the person you're speaking to. I'm telling you right now, there is always a path where love is. In a sales conversation, you never have to leave love. You never have to leave love. I'm going to say it again. You never have to leave love. You will, because your triggers will get poked at. But there is always love available still. And all you have to do is believe that, turn your attention to that, reach for that, demand it, claim it. The final thing I want to offer you guys today is just the reminder of advanced gratitude. And this is something that I suggest doing, again, proactively. You could do this at the beginning of every day, but also specifically before you get into a sales conversation. And this is what it might sound like. I'm so happy and grateful for the pleasure and delight that I have connecting as the truth of myself with the truth of this person that I'm about to meet. I'm so happy and grateful for the expansive, fun, playful experience that we're about to have together. I'm so happy and grateful for the clarity that they're about to find in their own lives. I'm so happy and grateful for the relationship that this is going to start. I'm so happy and grateful for the no's that are going to come to me in my sales conversations. I'm so happy and grateful for the yeses. I'm so happy and grateful for the no's because I know that all the no's are by design. I don't have to work to make people that are not meant to work with me. And so when they say no, it frees us both to move on to the next relationship. And I love that. I love the freedom of that. And I love the yeses. I love the yeses. I love helping people. I love signing clients. I love having people say yes to their own transformation, their own growth, and everything that's here for them. Like that. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the point, again, is internal. Like you'll be speaking or writing on the outside, but what matters is the feeling of sincerity on the inside as you're doing that. So, 3 categories of what we talked about today. I just want to recap. The first was meditating and seeing your client in their mastery, or the potential customer, right? That you're like taking responsibility for how you show up emotionally and energetically. and that you're practicing that all the time, but also directly before the call. The second category was this much longer conversation about anticipating and pre-planning. What's your worst case scenario? What are the things that you're afraid of? What could take you out? What's the thing that you want to avoid? And deciding in advance how you want to handle any and all of those things. And then the third category is advanced gratitude. This is kind of like what they call a bitter sandwich, right? So you make sure that when you do this work around your worst case scenario, you close out with something that feels really good. And maybe it's helpful to start with something really good, right? So the advanced gratitude is part of that. Advanced gratitude is something that I've been talking a lot about with my clients lately. It's one of the things that I practice. I don't even think about it anymore. But it's like this is how you open the path to actually receiving that which is on its way to you already. And even that language, that's not quite it. It's like, if you can dream it, if you can desire it, it's here already. It's not coming, it's here. You may not see it yet. And advanced gratitude is what opens your eyes, your life, your heart to seeing it, to claiming it, to bringing it into your physical experience. Really, really good work. So just to recap again, we are super excited. I am super excited to be doing really the best of my best work in a group context in this virtual retreat. And the next installment of that retreat will be, oh, Emsley, so nice to see you. The next installment of that retreat will be May 15th and May 16th. Virtually, we'll meet for 2 days in a row. And I've had people leave this retreat and make their first $8,000 sale. I've had people leave this retreat and have their first $20,000 month. I've had a few people do that. I've had people leave this retreat and have their first $100,000 month. So it's a very impactful, serious work. This is not something to just like put on the TV and then like go do something else. Like this is a very immersive experience. If you are ready to transform your relationship to money, to create more in your life, and to do it specifically during this COVID-19 crisis that the world is going through, I want to invite you to come. It's $297 right now, normally $497, so you got a little early bird if you sign up now. If you have any questions about that, let me know. And if you're on any of these platforms, just look the link tree on Instagram, in the Facebook and YouTube, we will post the link. So we'll make it really easy for you. And if you ever want anything, whether it's the link to something or any resource, or you want to talk to me, get on my calendar, just email my team, info@jessiejohnsoncoaching.com. We are always here for you. Really, really good work today. Fantastic job showing up for yourself. It's such an honor to be with you, know you, hear you speak about your challenges and questions and this vulnerable stuff. You guys did great today. Are there any last questions before we close for today? My team just threw the link into the chat on YouTube, so you got it there. We will be together again on Friday at noon Pacific, same time, for the weekly meditation. So please come, and we'll be doing more Q&A during that session. So might even bring some people live on Instagram, we'll see. So come, keep leaning in, let us know how we can serve, and I love you.